Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Pramana Vicara, an inquiry into the nature of knowledge by Swami Dayananda Saraswati. We are starting the section Veda as a Pramanam. The Veda is also a Pramanam with its own exclusive sphere of operation, different from all the others. None of the other Pramanams can reveal what the Veda can. That means the subject matter of the Veda is not available to the Indriyas, sense organs. The Veda consists of two distinct parts, the Purva Bhaga, the earlier portion, and the Uttara Bhaga, the latter portion. The Purva Bhaga is called Karma Kanda, and the latter portion is known as Jnana Kanda or Vedanta. The Karma Kanda deals with Sadhana Sadhya, means and ends, and other subject matters such as Punya, Papa, etc. The last portion of the Veda, called Vedanta or Upanishad, reveals the nature of reality, the self. Each portion of the Vedas must satisfy the requirements to be considered as Pramanams. It must not only have its own specific Apurva subject matter, that subject matter should be Pramanantara Anadhikatam. Pramanantara Anadhigatam. It should not be available for other means of knowledge. Further, it should be such that it is abadhitam, not negatable by other pramanam, nor should it have any internal contradictions. Finally, what it reveals must be useful. Phalavat artha bodhakatvam. Phalavat artha bodhakatvam must be there. A little thinking will show us that each of the five pramanams we have studied till now fulfill these conditions. What are those five pramanams we studied? We studied Pratyaksha, and then we studied, that is, Pratyaksha is basically direct experience, right? Inference, Anumanam, similarity, Upamana, and then we studied Arthapatti, which is multi-step inference, and finally Anupalabdhi, which is perception of absence. Each one of so a little thinking will show us that each of the five pramanams we have studied till now fulfill these conditions. That is why each one is a pramanam. There is a vast difference between other pramanams and the Veda as a pramanam. While the five pramanams that we have seen earlier reveal to us all objects of the world, the Veda gives us knowledge of subjects such as Adrishta, Punya, Papa, rebirth, etc. And the Vedanta Pramanam reveals to us the subject itself, the self. No other Pramanam can reveal what the Veda reveals. We will examine these qualifying factors necessary to classify the Veda as a Pramanam in its own right. Anadhigatatvam. As an independent Pramana, the Veda also must have its own Vishaya, subject matter, that cannot be known through any other pramanam. The very nature of the subject matter of the Veda establishes its anadhigatatvam, not within the scope of other means of knowledge, and therefore the pramanatvam, the status of the Vedas as an independent means of knowledge. For example, the Veda talks about adrishta phalam. The results that are known to us, already experienced by us, are called drishta phalam, which is why it is called drishtam, seen, known. On the other hand, adrishta phalam, the result in the form of punya and papa, is not known to us through any other means of knowledge. Punya phalam is translated as exposure to pleasant situations, and papa phalam as exposure to unpleasant situations. The Veda talks about these as a result of punya karma or papa karma. This is knowledge that is not available to us through other means. Adrishta Adrishta is not invisible result. Adrishta is the antonym of drishtam, that is not drishtam. Adrishta phalam is divided into two, punya and papa, which may fructify in this life itself in the form of pleasant and unpleasant experiences, or which are carried over in one's account to manifest later. Current experiences are also from the previous punya and papa getting translated into experiences now. That there is such a thing as punya papa is purely known from the Veda, for which it is pramanam. There is no other way of knowing it because it is anadhigatam, not available through other means. This is a matter to be known from the Veda pramanam, which is in the form of words. If adrishta phalam of punya and papa can be carried over to manifest later, one should survive the death of the body. There is survival of the jiva after death. There is punarjanma, rebirth, can be known only through Veda pramanam. Therefore, the Veda is the pramanam to gain the knowledge that there is rebirth for the jiva. Yet another knowledge that can be known only through Veda pramanam is about the existence of different spheres of experience, different levels of experience, called lokas. If the Veda talks about lokas, it is the pramanam for their existence. Let us look at another vishaya, subject matter. The Veda tells us that a particular devata, as a manifestation of Ishvara from a specific standpoint, can be propitiated and a particular result can be achieved here or in the hereafter. For this Vishaya, therefore, the Veda is the Pramanam. It gives us detailed instructions as to how different deities can be invoked, through which rituals, what the names of those deities are, which mantras have to be used in order to invoke them, what are the methods by which they can be invoked, who is eligible to perform a particular ritual, and who should not perform this ritual. All these can be learnt only from the Veda. Similarly, to know what the result would be, whether the result is here or hereafter, the Veda is the Pramana. There is no other way of knowing these things. In its field, the Veda has anadhigatatvam, being the only source of knowledge of these subject matters. They are not previously known, they are apurva. In that respect, the Veda clearly establishes itself as a pramanam. The Veda may also have statements about things that we know or can be known, but with reference to these things, it is not a pramanam. It would only be anuvada, a restatement of things already known. When the Veda says, amayantu brahmacharinaha, amayantu brahmacharinaha, let the brahmacharis, the students, come, it is a prayer, a ritual prayer called avahanti homa. Avahanti homa. There is no anadhigatatvam, for it is known through other means of knowledge. Anybody can pray to have more students. If you start a school, you want more students, you advertise for more students. Such statements in the Veda are only restatements. In these matters, it is not a pramanam. In the sentence quoted earlier, brahmacharis are not anadhigata, unknown, nor is the prayer about wanting students to come. This prayer is for brahmacharis to come from all directions. Directions are not anadhigata. Damayantu brahmacharinaha and shamayantu brahmacharinaha means may the students who come enjoy self-control and discipline. May they not be restless. May they have certain quietude. This is not anadhigata. The prayer is adhigata, known. Things that are already known through the five means of knowledge are only as support to an apurva vishaya. For example, when ajyam, ghee, is mentioned, it is not that the Veda tells us something unknown. I already know what ajyam is. It is not knowledge revealed by the Veda. However, that ajyam is to be used for a particular ritual, invoking a particular devata, is revealed only by the Veda, and only for that portion is the Veda a Pramanam. Look at another example. The Veda uses the word Yupa. Yupa Pashum Badhnati. Yupe Pashum Badhnati. Tie the cow to the Yupa. While we know Pashu, we do not know what Yupa is. The Veda tells us that Yupa is an octagonal wooden pole, a pole with 8 faces. We know wood, but we do not know wood as Yupa. The Veda gives us that information. Therefore, the Veda is the Pramanam for this. The definition of a Pramanam is very tight. It has to reveal what is not available through any other means of knowledge. That which is beyond the 5 means of knowledge is revealed by the Veda, and therefore the whole Veda is a Pramanam. Pratyakshenānumityāvā yastupayo na badhyate etam vidanti vedena tasmad vedasya vedata. This is from the Rig Veda Bhashya. People know through the Vedas that which cannot be known through perception or inference. Therefore, the Vedas are a means of knowledge. Next section, Abādhitatvam. The second requirement for a Pramanam is that it should not be contradicted by any other Pramanam. Ajyena juhuyat is a statement made by the Veda. There is a footnote here. Ajyam is butter melted in the sun. Only that is yajna yogya, fit for use in a yajna. So again, ajyena juhuyat is a statement made by the Veda. With ghee, may this ritual be performed. May this oblation be offered with ghee. When that ritual is known only from the Veda, to contradict it, it must be available to one or more of the 5 means of knowledge. It is not available for contradiction because it is beyond the 5 means of knowledge. The Veda is Swatha Pramana Bhutam. Swatha Pramana Bhutam. It is an independent Pramanam and it cannot be contradicted. This is called Abādhitam. Ghritam vai ayuhu is also a statement in the Veda confirming that Ghritam, ghee, is good for longevity. Modern thinking says too much ghee will raise cholesterol and will reduce longevity. However, when the Veda says Ghritam vai ayuhu, the expectation is that you will live a life prescribed by it. If modern day living means a sedentary life with not much in terms of discipline of living, then Ghritam vai will of course be Mrityuhu, not Ayuhu. Therefore, being an Anuvada and not a Pramanam, it can be contradicted by modern science. So we have Anadhigatatvam, not available to any other means, Apurvata, Vishaya is not known previously, and Abhaditatvam, not subject to negation. The unique knowledge Jnanam that you get from the Veda is Shabdham. It is Shabdat Jatam, born of words, because the Veda is in the form of words. Though Shabda can mean sound, in this context Shabda means word. Therefore, Shabdebhyaha Jatam Jnanam. The knowledge born of words is Shabdam. No other Pramanam can negate the words of the Veda when they are correctly understood. Phalavatvam. The other requirement is that Jnanam arising out of any Pramanam should also be phalavat, be useful. Although the knowledge may not be useful to you, it is useful for someone. Let us take the story of Kuchela. Kuchela, a very poor man, had 27 children. Now Kuchela is not going to ask for another child. He need not perform Putra Kameshti, an elaborate ritual discussed in the Veda, whose phalam is Putra. Kuchela does not need Putra Kameshti. But for couples who long for a Putra, Putra Kameshti is phalavat, useful. Performance of the ritual will produce result here. We hear from the Ramayana that Lord Rama and his brothers were born after King Dashratha performed the Putra Kameshti Yaga. In recent times, there was a big zamindar, a landowner in Tanjavur district, who did not have a child even after 15 years of marriage. On the suggestion of Kanchi Paramacharya, he did Putra Kameshti, and then he had 3 sons and a daughter. This is called Phalavatvam. The Purva Bhaga of the Veda is like a supermarket promising varieties of phalas. When you see what is offered in the supermarket, you may wonder who is going to ever buy this or that. But if you spend some time there, you will find that there is a buyer for everything. People have different tastes, needs and desires. Even a non-working jalopy of a car, an old car that was on the road once upon a time, is useful to someone. It has been lying there for so many years, uncared for, untouched, coated with dust. Nobody wants to touch it. Then somebody buys it for its antique value. Or a car mechanic who wants to advertise his business may keep such a car in front of his garage. The whole Karma Kanda Shastra, which forms the bulk of the Veda, is like a supermarket. There is a footnote for Karma Kanda Shastra. Each of the 4 Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda, each of the 4 Vedas consists of 2 parts, generally referred to as Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. The first portion forms the bulk of the Vedas and deals with means and ends, while the latter, called Vedanta, consisting of many Upanishads, reveals the knowledge of the self. The whole Karma Kanda Shastra, which forms the bulk of the Veda, is like a supermarket. It deals with means and ends, sadhana, sadhya. The mantras to be used, the know-how of the ritual, the devatas involved, who the adhikari is for the ritual, what results one can expect, etc., are all mentioned in the Shastra. For example, one has to be married to be eligible to perform most karmas. Unless a person is married, he is not an adhikari. Unmarried people have hardly a few karmas. Again, if a person has grey hair, he cannot perform certain rituals. He must be Krishna Keshaha, the one who has no grey hair. Once his hair has turned grey, he cannot perform that particular ritual. The Veda specifies that some rituals can be performed only by a Saputra, one who has a son. Adhikaritvam is spelled out by Shastra for various rituals and yajnas, that he must be a Brahmana or a Raja or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya, etc. You cannot get this knowledge from any other Pramanam, any other source. Thus, the Veda is a Pramanam revealing A. Known means having unknown ends. That we should speak the truth, help others, do our duty, etc. are known to us. The Veda tells us that we will get adrishta phalam of punya for this. That we should not tell untruth, hurt or cheat others, etc. are known to us. The Veda tells us that we will get adrishta phalam of papa for this, which we may get in this life or later. These results are known only from the Veda. Second, the Veda is a Pramanam revealing unknown means for known ends. A son is known, rains are known, that one can get a child by performing Putra Kameshti Yaga, that one can get rains by doing a so-called Kari Yaga or Varuna Japa is known to us only from the Veda. Thus, various special rituals are told in the Veda for getting known ends like health, wealth, etc. The Veda is a Pramanam revealing, thirdly, unknown means for unknown ends. The Veda talks about various rituals for gaining various lokas. Neither the rituals and the methods are known to us, nor are the various lokas known to us, except from the Vedas. But when the Veda says things like Ghritam vai ayuhu, taking ghee will give longevity, or Agnihi himasya bheshajam, fire will ward off heat, both ghee and I think he means fire will ward off cold, both ghee and fire are known means for the known ends of longevity and relief from cold. Therefore, when the Veda talks of known means for known ends, it is not a pramanam but only an anuvada, restatement of what we already know. All this clearly establishes that the Veda is a pramanam. Being in the form of words, Veda pramanam gives you indirect knowledge, paroksha jnanam, shabdatvat paroksha jnanam. shabdatvat paroksha jnanam. The exception to this is Vedanta, as we will see later. So again, Veda Pramanam gives you indirect knowledge, paroksha jnanam. Veda is not scientific. Some people with what they think is a modern approach aver that the Veda is scientific and that the rishis are subjective scientists. They make such statements because they do not know what the Veda is, much less they know what science is. With this kind of incomplete understanding of the Veda, they make proclamations that are very damaging. There is a footnote for the word science. Science, according to Oxford Dictionary, is a branch of knowledge involving systematic observation and experiment. Science remains within the scope of the 5 means of knowledge. Anything that can be proved by pratyaksha, or this is the direct experience, anumanam, which is inference, arthapati, multi-step inference, upamana, which is similarity, or anupalabdhi, perception of absence, comes within the scope of science. Whereas the subject matter of Veda Pramanam is not available to other means of knowledge. This is called apurvata. When the subject matter of the Vedas is not available for pratyaksha pramanam, which data can be collected to make anumanam or arthapati, it is not scientific, quote unquote scientific, nor does it need to be. If someone says the Veda is scientific, it only means that the person does not understand what the Veda is. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.